They rule that one a catch, which exact same thing as Brandon Cook's play. So I once again I don't get it, but that might just be me. Welcome back to Two Generations, One Mic. A lot to talk about today. NFL Divisional Round games. Last night we had the National Championship game, which I'm glad that was an exciting one. Pat, good to be with you.
Morning, buddy. Great to be with you. My gosh, that was what a heck of three days of football, basically.
Yeah.
Both NFL and college, and some other interesting stuff to talk about. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah. First, a quick word from our sponsor. Looking to refresh your home inside or out? Honor Painting Company has you covered. From residential interiors and exteriors to cabinet painting that completely transforms your space, Honor Painting delivers quality craftsmanship you can see and trust. No job is too big, no job is too small, and every project gets the same attention to detail. Proudly serving the entire Sioux Empire, including Madison, South Dakota, and Okoboji, Iowa. Get your free estimate today. Call Scott at 605-799-2573 or visit honorpainting.com. All right, and then before we get into things, obviously we have to see Pat's jersey this week. What do we got?
All right, buddy, here we go. As one of my favorite logos that we talked about when we're back to hockey for this episode, right here, got the Oilers. Paul Coffey. Paul Coffey played with on the Gretzky teams, the great Gretzky teams of the Oilers back in the 80s. It was awesome. Let me give you some factoids about him real quick. Okay, he was born and raised in Weston, Ontario, Canada. He was in the 1980 draft, taken 6th overall by the Oilers. And he played, his total playing career was 1980 to 2001. So a nice, good, healthy career. He's ranked second all-time among defensemen in goals and assists and points, all behind Ray Bourque. You may or may not see a Ray Bourque jersey in the future, so stand by for that. We're going to have to keep tuning in. He won the best defenseman, which is called the James Norris Memorial Trophy, 3 times. 3 Stanley Cups with Edmonton, and some interesting things. After the 3rd Stanley Cup in the 86-87 season, he was holding out for a contract, and Peter Pockington is the owner of the Oilers, and he refused to negotiate with him and said that he lacked courage. So then Coffey came out and said, well, there's no way I'm putting on an Oilers jersey again. And that's when they traded him. They traded him to the Penguins then. He won another Stanley Cup with the Penguins. So he won 4 Stanley Cups. He lost 2 Stanley Cups in the 94-95 season and in the 96-97 season. That 96-97, he actually played for the Flyers, and they played Detroit. He went into the Hall of Fame in 2004. Listen to all these teams he's played for. Oilers, Penguins, Kings, Red Wings, Whalers, Flyers, Blackhawks, Hurricanes, and Bruins. So he had a fantastic career. I do remember when he was on those Oilers teams, that had Mark Messier and Coffey, obviously, and Wayne Gretzky. Those teams in the mid-'80s, early mid-'80s for Edmonton were unbelievable. So fun to watch. So there you go, Paul Coffey today.
Love it. And then, now getting into the show, we have to talk about the game last night first. I'm just happy Miami kept it close and it came down to the last drive of the game. We've said it every week, but that Miami defense is so good.
So good.
That's the most.
Go ahead.
I was gonna just say that's the most uncomfortable I've ever seen Mendoza this season.
Yeah. I mean, I really do hope they're coming out of there proud of themselves, and I mean, obviously you always want to win, but that defense played fantastic. the offense did everything they could, against the Indiana defense. You and I texted each other there in the first quarter. I forget the guy's name. Number 12 for Miami was
Mm-hmm.
rushing Mendoza and just laid the wood to. I think it was either their running back that had come over to try to cover, or it was one of their linemen. It just laid him down and then chased Mendoza off to the side. Um, Unbelievable.
I couldn't. That play was crazy. Yeah. Um. No, but the Miami offense, they really sold it for them. I mean, you missed the field goal at the end of the first half, which
Yeah.
would have made it a one-score game going into halftime, which would have been huge. And
Yep.
then you're down six on the last drive of the game, and Carson Beck throws an interception, which it's kind of a classic way for him to end it. But
Well, it also reminded me very much of, and we'll get into this game later, the Caleb Williams interception on their final drive in overtime,
yeah,
where it wasn't, my observation, just Joe Blow fan guy, I'm no expert whatsoever. It looked like it was a good pass. It just looked like there might have been a little miscommunication between he and the receiver. I thought the same thing on Caleb Williams. I mean, that he had time and lasered that pass down there, and he and DJ Moore just for some reason weren't quite on the same page. And I kind of thought the same thing when I saw that Carson Beck pass.
yeah, the Carson Beck one seemed a little more too like a better read by the cornerback, the way he
Yeah.
undercut that, and because he knew he
Yep.
had the safety over the top helping. So it was a great read, but I saw a
I don't.
post and it said Carson Beck on the final drive with the game on the line, and it was a picture, a photoshopped picture of CJ Stroud in a Hurricanes jersey.
Oh, jeez, Louise, that's brutal. That
Yeah.
is brutal. You know, I did see a really interesting stat as the broadcast came on when they were doing just introductory information about both teams. Herb Street and Chris Fowler were talking. It's amazing. I did not know this. Mendoza had, prior to the championship game, had more touchdown passes than incompletions in the previous two college football playoff games.
I
Eight
did not know that
touchdowns,
either. Wow.
five incompletions. That that is sick. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I did see that too when they were showing pregame stuff and doing all the stats that he's the only quarterback this season to throw for 5+ touchdowns in 3 different games.
Jeez Louise.
Cra-
I,
He,
I, again, I'm going to raise my hand
mm-hmm.
and go. I, um, I'm a full believer now, and I was one of the last converts. I just didn't, for whatever reason, just didn't have the feeling about him. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I just was. I don't know. And holy cow, he's the real deal. I mean, that run, that last touchdown run that he had, that was, I mean, that wasn't just a cakewalk run. I mean, he got pounded.
No, I thought, well, all right, nice, good for him. He got the first down. And then he just kept going and extended
Yeah.
out. And I did not think that was going to be a touchdown, but he got it.
No, that was awesome. How about, okay, a couple different observations, non-gameplay related.
Hmm.
First and foremost, how awesome are Chris Fowler and Kurt Herbstreit together?
Oh,
I could watch
the
those
best.
guys. I could watch those guys broadcast a curling game. I mean, they
Yeah.
are awesome. Herb
Hmm.
Street is so good at dropping in information, whether it be about players or about gameplay. I don't know why I love listening to him talk during a game. And Fowler's play-by-play is awesome. He ramps it up when it really, really gets exciting, and he stays nice and even keeled. You also know we've talked in the past about Gus Johnson. I absolutely love Gus Johnson, but they're
Hmm.
very different. I mean, Gus Johnson goes way up on whatever, and Fowler does too. But I don't know. They're different. They're the same but different. And but Herb Street and Fowler together are so good.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking of you last night. I went and watched the game at Blue Haven, and before the game, it was probably, I was surprised. It was half Hurricanes, half Indiana fans there.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So, and it was packed. And before the game, they were blaring Thunderstruck. And everyone was getting into it. It was pretty awesome. So, yeah, that
Oh,
made
that's
me think of
fun.
you. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Uh-huh.
The other observation I was going to make, kind of along the same lines, um, and you said it was split about even down the middle at your bar in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
How about the Indiana fans going down there? And Fowler and Herbstreit at the very beginning figured it was 60-40 Indiana to
Yeah.
Miami. I would have even argued more towards Indiana. I mean, there was red everywhere. If I were the Miami Hurricanes, I would have been wondering where my fans were. That's something that I might have kind of brought up a little bit,
Being a
in some sort of
home
post game.
game, yeah, I agree. Every crowd shot they did seemed very Indiana heavy.
Oh boy, oh boy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
No, but a great game. I'm glad that it was a good game. I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad that it wasn't a blowout that Indiana's had the last 2 weeks or two games, I should say, prior.
mhm.
So, I would imagine the ratings will be high.
Yeah.
Um, so Signetti, I mean, I'm seeing all the posts of what his record has been. He's got the highest win percentage since 2000, I think. Um, I mean, his coaching record is just crazy, crazy.
Yeah. No. I also do love when which it wasn't new this game, but whenever they shoot to him on the sideline and his facial reaction, it
Oh, good.
whether it's a good play or a bad play, he is just stone cold the entire game.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
yeah. It's got to be fun to see him uh, behind closed doors with his team. I would imagine that he shows a little more emotion than he does on the field.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but he seems like the guy that could get fiery, both positive and fiery. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a Kurt Signetti rant. I think that could probably get pretty ugly.
Yeah. All right, and then now taking a look at the divisional round for the NFL.
Yes.
So, Bills Broncos to start.
Yep.
There's a lot to touch here
Because
because
that was the first game Saturday.
yes.
Yeah.
Um it, so it came down to obviously the Bills, yeah, they scored 30 points, but 5 turnovers, which was pretty unfortunate. Josh takes the blame after the game. But I will say, I thought the Brandon Cooks interception was a catch. I But there is so much controversy around it right now. Joe Burrow came out and said he thought they got it right, which I just don't get how you can see a still picture of Brandon Cook's knee down and him still holding the ball. So I guess, which, like you said, Joe Blow over here watching the game, but that's
Yeah,
just
I
my
know.
opinion. Yeah.
I no, you're right, Ben. And before really getting into that, because you've got that play to compare to a catch from the Rams Bears game that we'll get to,
Hmm.
but before even getting to that catch, how about end of first half, um, the Broncos tie it. No, the Broncos score a touchdown to take the lead inside of 2 minutes. Kick off to the Bills. They start coming down and it was, gosh, I'm sorry, not inside of 2 minutes. It was inside of a minute by this point. And
Yeah.
that pass by Bo Nix to score that touchdown at the end of the first half was dynamite. I mean, he dropped that right in there. And then they kick off. Bills take it. They're starting to run a few plays, and Josh Allen takes off on a QB scramble and just is waving the ball around like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, instead of tucking it in there. And of course, it gets knocked out. They fall on it. They've got a few seconds left, kick another field goal. So all of a sudden, they're up 10.
Yeah. No, I mean, that Broncos defense is so good, like we've talked about, easily top three in the league with the Texans and the Patriots. And yeah, the way they were able to turn over Josh Allen that game.
Yeah, but I mean that's not on coaches or anything else. You got to tuck that ball away. At the end of the half, do you just take a knee and call it good? I know that that's not in Josh Allen's DNA, but that was costly for sure. And you gotta, if you're gonna run, fine, but you gotta tuck that thing away. You just can't have it waving around.
Yeah. And then taking a look at the comparable game, so we have Bears Rams, um, which you have to start it off talking about Caleb Williams' pass at the end of regulation because it was cold game, low scoring, kind of back and forth the entire game. But oh my gosh, that pass to end regulation was just insane.
It was so good. That was so fun. I mean, I was sitting here. It was just me and your mom sitting here, and she was in the kitchen, and I was out. I had the game on to the side, and he starts running backwards, and I'm like, that's such a brutal way to end, and just heaves it, and it drops right in there, and it was awesome. It was so great. I stood up and yelled,
Yeah.
and it took me back to when you and Maggie were obviously, much younger, but when we were all standing in the kitchen and the Vikings beat the Saints,
Oh, yep.
and on the Minneapolis Miracle where I threw it over to Diggs, and Diggs made that quick little move along the sidelines and scored. And yeah, I kind of had the same reaction. It was so much fun. I love plays like that. And then we were watching the rest of the overtime, and they kind of both went back and forth for a minute, and then Caleb throws that interception, and then the Rams, Stafford, they stopped Stafford on the first possession of overtime, and it's going to be tough to stop him on the second.
That Rams offense is too good. One thing I noticed, so did you watch the very first drive of the game when they do the player intros?
No, no,
Okay,
I don't remember.
so when they do the player intros, they have their PFF grade on the bottom,
Oh,
and
okay.
at most positions it's out of 130 eligible players, and every Rams offense guy was top 12 for their PFF grade. It
Oh,
was
no kidding.
insane to watch. I was watching it with a buddy, and we both kind of turned to each other and were like, "Did you notice that? How high everyone was?"
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, that offense is just so good.
Yeah, yeah. They're so good. And the one thing I said to your mom, again, me looking outside of the actual football play, but being in that stadium where, and you and I have gone to a few, we've been lucky enough to go to a few games here and there where we don't necessarily have a dog in the fight.
Yep.
We're there to watch the game. And it's way more fun when the home team wins. And and so I can't imagine sitting in that stadium for 3+ hours. It's the temperature. So I looked it up at overtime. I wanted to just see what the current temperature was, and it was the actual temperature was 19, but the feels like was in the single digits,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it just had to be brutal. And then to have that huge elation at the end of at the end of regulation when he makes that pass to send them into overtime, and then to actually stop them on their first possession of overtime, and then be marching. And it wasn't like he was under significant duress on that when Williams threw that pass, and then to have it picked, and then you're just like, ugh. And then just for Stafford to surgically move him down the field and then kick the field goal, and you just go, ugh. It's just, and then you've got 3 hours to try to get out of that stadium. We have relatives that are from Chicago, and one of them didn't go to the game specifically because his quote was, "Getting out of Soldier Field is awful. It's just terrible." And I actually, that popped into my head. I'm like, how brutal would it be to have that high of highs, highest of highs? I mean, a crazy play to get you into overtime, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, it's over, and you lose, and it's freezing, and you've got to get out of there, and that just had to be so depressing.
Yeah, the bar I watched that game at, it was, being in New York, I don't know why, but it just happened to be, felt like 80 to 90% Bears fans. And
Oh, okay,
you
all
could
right,
kind of feel that. It was when Caleb made the pass at the end of regulation. I mean, the place went crazy.
yeah,
And then when Caleb throws the interception and the Rams win it, I mean, being in a bar, I could have heard a pin drop. It was
I bet,
crazy. Yeah.
I bet. It's just like, yeah, it's just totally like letting the air out of a balloon. The
Mhm.
It's interesting. We talked briefly about this the other day, you and me. We were talking about how there's some, controversy or whatever over Ben Johnson's handshake at the end of the wild card game, where he just literally runs by and touches his hand and keeps on going. And Green Bay, there's a bunch of Green Bay fans that are all have their feelings hurt and think that Ben Johnson should issue some semblance of an apology. Which, so talking to some lifelong Bears fans, they are like, go and shove it. And they talk about how Aaron Rodgers used to do the discount double check, you know, belt, he'd do the belt thing like this. And he was on after scoring however many touchdowns, he terrorized Bears fans just as much as he terrorized all of us Vikings fans.
Yeah.
And at one time in the camera, a number of years ago when he was doing that, he said, "I own you, MFers," regarding Chicago as he had scored in Chicago.
Hmm.
Then you had at the draft, you had Clay Matthews stand up on the stage and say that he had a statement to issue on behalf of President Trump, President Trump, that said, the Bears still suck. So if I were a Bears fan, I'd tell the Packers fans to shove it too. Go ahead and keep signing your stupid online petition. Really?
Yeah.
You're Hey, we're gonna sign an online petition to try to get you to issue an apology. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh God, get over it. Good Lord.
Yeah. And also the Devontae catch, they ruled that one a catch, which exact same thing as Brandon Cook's play. So I, once again, I don't get it, but that might just be me.
There. Obviously, there are people that know the details of that stuff more than you and me. To the casual observer, which is what you and I are, I couldn't
Mhm.
agree with you more. They looked very similar, whether rule them both the same for a turnover or both the same down. Either way, um, but yeah, it is what it
Well,
is.
and we talked about Joe Burrow coming out and saying they're both right.
Right.
Um, Richard Sherman came out, and he's one of the best DBs of all time. He'll
Yeah.
take the side of the DB. He said it should have been a Brandon Cooks catch. So
Oh,
I don't even
yeah.
know. Like NFL players can't even agree on it. So I don't know.
Here's what's interesting, Ben, and here's the two generations. Going back to all of my football that I watched as a kid at home on the old tube TV, um, and so you think about the lack of there was no replay review.
Hmm.
The obviously the high definition cameras that they have today compared to what we had back then, and these refs trying to having to make a bang bang call on the field like that, and then sometimes we'd be able to see in replay
Yeah.
something that the officials didn't see, which happened a number of times. That's what ultimately led to replay review. um, I can't tell you how frustrating it was, but when you really take a big picture of it, say in all the years of me watching football and I was for one team and against another team, it probably all came out in the wash even. Calls that were ruled on the field for you versus calls on the field that were ruled against you. It probably over time ended
Yeah.
up ended up about even. I can't remember any off the top of my head where before instant replay, you know, key calls that went the incorrect way on the field that obviously had to stay because there wasn't any of that.
Yeah.
But someday you and I can try to review that and talk about it, since that goes back to my generation.
Yeah, the first big one I ever remember in my life was the Des Bryant play against the Packers when they,
Right.
for some reason, didn't rule that a catch.
Right. Wasn't that? But there was still replay then, right?
Yes, at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it is interesting the way it's changed over time and how it still hasn't there's times where yeah, it doesn't affect it, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
Um, very interesting. Seahawks and Niners here. This was by far the biggest beating of the weekend. I mean,
Right.
Seahawks opening play, Shaheed takes it 96 yards to the house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just setting the tone early.
Right.
Niners
Right.
have been so banged up this year that
They
even
had to
though
catch up with them.
Shanahan is one of the best coaches in football, what he's been able to do with all these injuries is amazing, but it looked like it got to be too much for them.
Right. Right. I mean, they just had so many pieces missing, and it just really wasn't a very exciting game. I mean, if you're a Seahawks fan, you loved every second of it, but that rules out, everything else beyond that, because the majority of the country is kind of like what we always say, where I don't have a dog in the fight. I just want a good game then, and when it isn't, you're just kind of like whatever.
I mean, that game was out of hand by the end of the first quarter, and it stayed that way the rest of the game.
For sure. I mean, I love Shanahan's, in the post-game press conference. I like his philosophy regarding a kickoff return to begin the game. He's like, hey, it's like they scored. Basically, they scored on their first drive. Now, and that's the mentality you have to have on the other side of the field when that happens to you. Is whether it happens in a 5-second run back or a 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
Either way, the end result is the same. You would rather be able to hold them. So you gather your team together and you go, hey, it's like they just scored on their first drive. Big deal. We move on, and I mean that's what you have to have. But I would imagine, and I haven't been in that stadium, but I know a lot of people that have talk about how loud that place can get. That would have been so fun.
Oh man, that
It
play,
had to be
yeah,
so crazy.
yeah. And
I'm
then
just so big on crowd reactions to everything,
yeah,
because with all the stuff that you and I have been to over the years, whether it's in a basketball arena or a football stadium, when something awesome for the majority of fans that are there, home field or whatever, happens, and the level of energy just goes off the charts.
yeah,
So awesome. I mean, I'll never forget the Iron Bowl game we went to when you were a junior or fresh sophomore, whatever, in high school, and we went down there with a couple of your friends,
yeah.
and to have Auburn win, and they were not supposed to.
No.
Alabama was what, 1 or 2 in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a field goal to try to tie or possibly go ahead with a minute and some left and hit the upright. Oh my God, that was so fun. I
Yeah.
still go back and watch some of those videos that I took.
That was a really fun one. I will say it is almost when you don't care and something happens in the last minute. Like I remember one time I was at it was a random Magic Nets game, regular season game, and didn't care, was happy to be there. And it was D'Angelo Russell was on the Nets at the time, and he hits this dagger three with 29 seconds left, and you could just feel the air leave the stadium.
Oh
And
God.
it just makes you laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is when you're in that situation too, to see the other side where you really didn't care.
No.
Either way. You just, again, want a good game, which you got, which is perfect. But the home team, yeah, good. It's just like, and you're just like, great. This is that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Then the last game we have, Patriots beat Texans. I mean, if you're CJ Stroud, you have the best defense in football easily with you. You your job just needs to be a game manager.
yep,
And you go out there and you throw four interceptions in the first half. One was not his fault, hit his guy in the hands and it popped up to the corner, but the other three were completely on him.
yeah,
Especially the one where, I mean, he got drilled and just threw it straight up, and then that became a pick six.
yeah. And the pick six is just so debilitating.
Yeah, and their defense, even though New England put up a lot of points, I thought their defense played well. They were getting to Drake May all game. They forced him to turn the ball over a couple times, but I mean, if your quarterback's throwing four interceptions, there's just not much you can do as a defense getting that field position every drive.
Yeah, it's really tough to overcome that.
Yeah.
And there have been, and forgive me if we've talked about this in a couple past episodes, but there have been Super Bowl winning teams where the defense is by far the driving force of the team, and the quarterback just has. I mean, Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring, and was never known as, a tremendous quarterback. All he did was manage the offense enough and basically not turn it over, just kind of move them around the field and let the defense do everything, and won a Super Bowl that way. It's doable. You just can't turn it over.
Flacco with the Ravens, even though I like Flacco, I think he's really good, but the defense all those Ravens years was definitely the driving force of that team. So yeah,
Yeah,
and Flacco was smart with the football, didn't turn it over, and put his defense in good position to stop the other team.
right.
So, and now this brings up, I've been seeing a lot of questions. So that draft class that CJ was a part of, like CJ, Bryce, those guys,
Yep,
they're
yep,
coming up on extension time now.
yep.
And after CJ's amazing rookie season, it's been a little bit of a rough 2 years here for him.
Right.
So if I put you in the GM chair, I are you questioning extending him?
Well, I think so. I like you said, it's been 2 years, and I mean, you've seen decline, kind of.
Hmm.
So, I mean, here we are sitting here saying that you just have to be a game manager of a quarterback. Typically, we're saying that about an aging quarterback,
Yeah.
where the defense had you talk about Flacco and I mean Flacco got a big extension after winning that Super Bowl.
Hmm.
And but I don't know. I would, but then again, you always keep asking what else? What are your other options? I don't know. That's a super question, and I'm doing an awful job of answering it.
It, it's hard. It does make you wonder, but then again, I've said this in past episodes. One of the hardest things to do, I would say, when you're in like a team operations role, is drafting a quarterback or getting it right. We've seen so many failures, and CJ's proven he he can have it, and you can also make a lot of other excuses for that game. Nico Collins was out with a concussion. Schultz went down really early in that game. They were missing a couple of linemen on a line that's already pretty bad. So yeah, I really don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, that is a really tough one, and that is an awesome question that you ask. That's fun.
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you what, Ben. I would feel way more. I would feel way more comfortable extending Bryce than CJ right now. And if I went back to you being a Bryce fan or a Panther fan
Yeah,
2 years ago and told you that, you would have said I was crazy. So I think when you take the last 2 years of the body of work of the last 2 years of both guys, I think Bryce has done a great job showing what his potential is. Versus, I think his trajectory looks up, and CJ's is kind of
up versus down. Yeah,
even if not angling down a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a super question. I love that. That's fun. That's a good one. Um, and
Uh,
you talk about some of the coaching stuff coming up. Um, all that. You've got one of the best coaches in the NFL right now, so you've got to get that quarterback thing right.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, one of the best defenses in recent memory. You can't waste that. So,
Right.
now moving on to a couple things outside the game results. So, Bills fire Sean McDermott right after the game, which
Yep.
coached 9 seasons in Buffalo, 8 playoff appearances, and 5 AFC East titles. What do you think? Is that just same voice might get a little old and
Yep.
you haven't quite gotten it done yet?
I think it's a great move, and I like Sean McDermott as a fan of football. Watched the Hard Knocks that Buffalo was in. Loved him. He seems to be a wonderful person. He's a good coach, but you've had this situation now. Granted, injuries started to catch up with him here this year,
Yeah.
but you've had the best quarterback in football the last however many years, and how many AFC Championship games did they get to? Let alone no Super Bowls. One or two AFC Championship
I,
games,
yeah, one or two.
whatever the case may be. And some guys, do you remember? Here we go. We're going to go back to my generation when Chicago. So you had Jordan come in '83, and they started to make their push and whatnot, and it got to be the late '80s, and then they were making the playoffs, and I'm going to mess up exactly what point in the playoffs they were losing, but they made a couple runs in the playoffs, and Doug Collins was the coach,
Hmm.
and they fired him. And everyone, at first is like, you're getting into not only into the playoffs, but making a few moves in the playoffs,
Yeah.
winning some games here and there. And then they fired him, Phil Jackson, and the rest is history.
Hmm.
So I think there is something to be said, exactly like you said. Is it looking for a new voice in the locker room? And I think it's that. And plus, is there a guy out there that can exit and owe it a little bit better for him
Like a
and get
Mike
Jared Allen?
McDaniel or something.
Right, because Jared Allen will be good for a number of years to come, but there will
Josh.
be that decline. He'll be like Flacco and these guys that are able to hang on and be backup quarterbacks or come in to a team that needs a quarterback. How a lot of these guys leg out their career and kind of move around a little bit, but um, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad move at all. I know watching Get Up the other day, Rex Ryan was thrilled.
Yeah. I will say it's funny though. I've seen on a lot of Bills fan pages. So while they made the Sean McDermott move, they promoted Brandon Beane, the GM, from GM to president slash GM. And a lot of fans were like, you fired the wrong guy.
You're right.
Because, like we said last week, this is probably the worst team Josh has had around him and since his early years, and he's in, I think it's year 8 right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just thought, not that I'm not a Bills fan or anything. I don't really care about Brandon Beane, but it was just funny to read all that and how upset some people were with that move.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
but
Yeah.
with this,
And
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I, you bring in another GM and then he can hire his own coach, you know, or does Brandon Bean, get another run with his own coach? That's a tough one. I get it.
Yeah. Um, which then do you wonder? So last week, after we had already filmed our episode, the Falcons hire Stefanski and the Giants hire Harbaugh.
Yep.
If you're one of those guys and you've already signed, and now this Bills job is open, that's got to kind of suck.
That would be tough. I think that going to the Giants for Harbaugh, I think that would be kind of fun because you actually really do get to build kind of from the ground up.
Yeah.
You get to bring your culture in there. You do have some great pieces to build on. I think that would be kind of fun, versus coming in to, such well-established players that they have at Buffalo where you kind of have to mold yourself into them as well. So I don't know. I think the Atlanta thing I think is more of a question of that versus the Giants. I think the Giants is a great fit for Harbaugh. If I were a Giants fan, I would be thrilled, and if I were Harbaugh, I would be thrilled also.
I agree. That's a great situation. You have your quarterback, you have good pieces around him. Whereas the Falcons, I mean, it's a quarterback nightmare over there. You have Penix, who's hurt, and then you have Kirk, who is on that massive deal, and you don't know if he's the guy, so that's tough to deal with. And then just looking at the other side of it, whereas the Bills opening, I mean, you don't really see that too often where you have a head coaching opening and your quarterback is one of the two best quarterbacks in football.
Right. It was.
Special.
Yeah, totally. And I think it was fun to listen to Get Up the other day where they were saying, looking at that where you fire Sean McDermott and Shefty was saying that, he's going to immediately be a candidate right to the top of all the potential candidates.
Yeah.
You're a team that has a coach and you're like, oh man, I could actually have that guy.
Yeah.
Do you just blindly fire your coach that you have there now and try to hire him? And also, if you're a coach that's locked in with a team that is kind of like whatever, and you look at Buffalo, how do I get out of being the coach of my current team and try to make a run at Buffalo? It was kind of fun how they were looking at both ways.
Yeah.
At McDermott being gone and the potential that you have with him as coming in, and Buffalo having, looking at what other coaches are out there or what other teams would want. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Oh, and then one last NFL thing. So we forgot to mention this during the Broncos recap, but Bo Nix, season-ending injury in the fourth quarter, and now you have Jarrett Stidham coming up, which, a little fun fact for you, the only backup quarterback this season not to attempt a pass in the regular season. That's
a crazy stat, by the way.
Yeah, the only one, which and I did see. So, my uncle is a massive Broncos fan, so I was texting with him about it, and he sent me the screenshot of when Nick Foles beat the Patriots, and he said, Patriots have had issues with backup quarterbacks in the past, so we'll see.
Yeah, and that something like that's been going around. Well, because Nick Foles, tweeted or sent a message afterwards, posted a message saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, if you're a Patriots fan, how awesome does the future look? We didn't talk about that, but you just have to be thrilled. I mean, Drake May just looks like a beast out there.
Yeah, it only being year 2 for him, and he's finishing top 2 in the MVP race.
And going to the AFC Championship game. I mean, talk about deja vu. Holy mackerel. Goodness.
Yeah, seriously. So there's 2 more college football points I want to hit on. So There's been stuff going around that Lane Kiffin is leaking NIL information to the Ole Miss guys just to shake things up. And you've seen it happen. So, two notable Ole Miss defenders entered the portal last week.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll tell you what. For as great as the marriage was for Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, boy, did it go south quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
brutal. It's a bummer that it has to go down like it did. Him leaving, and we've talked about it a month ago. We talked about it a month ago where coaches shouldn't be able to leave before the end of the season. I don't think coaches would want to do that, and I don't think schools would want that to happen. I mean, it seems like that is an easy fix to say we shouldn't do this. Also, the portal date should be pushed out, whatever. I was also seeing what the calendar is going to be next year, and they're talking that it was someone was talking about it and was showing kind of if they keep the same schedule instead of going weekly on the college football playoff games, you're going to have more. So you're going to have to play more in December. Well, if they keep the same schedule, this thing isn't going to end until what was last night was the 19th. Now they're talking like it would be the 25th of January would be the championship game next year. So 27. I don't know. It's crazy how everything is just so in flux, but you can't let coaches leave before. I just think it just is awful before their final game, whether their season is over at the end of the regular season, or over after a bowl game. It's so awkward. Everything is so awkward. And so now, that being said, am I surprised Lane is doing it? No. I mean, this guy has been ruthless his entire career. Why, coaches one season at Tennessee and then takes off for USC. He'll do anything. And so
Yeah.
do I have a problem with it? It's a low blow. But I don't know. In the working world, Ben, you always have to be careful on paying things to different people within an organization because people talk. People will always find out.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm surprised that the players didn't already know these differences.
That is a good point. But it is obviously having some effect if you have
Yeah.
guys entering the portal this late, we'll call it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then, which scheduling, that kind of leads us into the next point. So the talks of the college football playoff expansion. So the Big Ten is pushing for 24 teams. The SEC is pushing for 16. I know you told me, do they have a date they need to agree on that by?
Yes, it is. They have to agree by the 23rd of January. Now, what the significance of that date is, I don't know.
Okay.
But for some reason, they have said if the two sides, so what they're saying is what I've read. This is just simply what I've read. And, is the internet always right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I've read is that the Big Ten wants 24, as you said. SEC wants 16. Big Ten has said, we'll agree to 16 if you agree that in a year or two, you'll bump it then to 24, which the SEC is not committed to yet. So if they don't, and this would actually take effect next year, which is kind of fun. I remember when the BCS was on its way out and playoffs were on the way in, it took a number of years for that transition to happen. Same thing when it went from just AP and coaches poll ranking for 1 versus 2 to then the BCS. Took a few years before they did it. I like that they're trying to say, all right, we're going to increase the number of teams, and it will take effect in the 26-27 football season, bowl season. But if they don't come to an agreement, then it's just 12 again like this year.
Yeah. If I put you in a commissioner chair, what do you think the right number is?
I I think the more in there, the better. I know they're
Mhm.
looking at it from a dollars and cents
Yeah.
standpoint. They're wanting more teams in because they want more of their teams to be able to get in.
Yeah.
And you asked me an interesting question that I wasn't able to answer, and I don't know if where's the ACC and the Big 12, and why is it just Big 10 and SEC that are getting to make that call? I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, outside of Indiana and Ohio State this year, the Big Ten was awful. I Everyone else was sitting at like 500, whereas I mean, if you look at the top 25 rankings throughout most of the year, there were probably five Big 12 teams in there off the top of my head. I mean, you had BYU and Utah fighting for spots. Arizona
Arizona
was
made a big
hanging in
push.
the. They finished, what was it, right around 17, I think.
Yep.
It so it is just it just kind of shocked me as why it's not more of a Power Four discussion. I mean, look, we had Miami in the national championship game last night. ACC right there.
Right. Right. No, I agree, and I don't know why. That's just all the stuff that I've read.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we'll touch now on all the other non-football sports.
Well,
So,
real quick,
oh yeah.
one thing that I wanted to point out to you. I have read now that the total number of players that have entered the college football portal, now this is across all divisions of college football,
Mm-hmm.
or levels, I should say, is over 10,000, almost 11,000. That's crazy. And then the
Crazy.
other interesting thing that I read the other day was that so if you're an agent for an NFL player, NBA player, Major League Baseball, hockey, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be certified with the organization, the sports, the NFL or the NBA, etc.
Yeah.
With the NIL right now or college football, you and I can walk out and start trying to recruit players to be for us to be agents for. There's no agency that is saying we need to pass a certification to be an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I walk into somebody's house and go, "Hey, Joe, you should go into the portal. You're going to be able to get more money going trying to play someplace else." And some of these kids are entering the portal, so then their college is going to the portal to find someone to bring in to fill that vacancy. And then these kids that are out there, some of them, are not getting any offers or any better offers necessarily, going back to their organization that they left, their school that they left, and their spot's gone.
Yeah. Because the school's acting because they think they lost them, and they're like, "All right, we got to fill this spot now."
100%. It's nothing wrong with the school.
No, no. I
So
mean,
this agent thing needs to kind of get figured out.
there needs to be some certification, which
Yep.
I mean, being at my master's right now in sports business, I could talk about it forever, but I
Yeah,
mean, we've kind
I
of
bet you could.
beat a dead horse with this portal thing, just how insane it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that number is crazy.
The other reports that are out there that are kind of interesting too is that Alabama is not performing well in the portal.
I talked to a guy from Ohio State last night. I didn't realize they have lost a ton of their O-line, which is kind of crazy.
The Crimson Tide.
Uh-huh. Because a
Oh,
lot
that's
of
too
them
bad.
went to Ohio State. Yeah. So that's how he
Oh,
knew that. Yeah.
really?
Mm-hmm. So
God.
they are losing a lot of guys. Yeah. Um, so NBA All-Star
Yeah.
game starters get named yesterday. LeBron is not a starter. He's missed a decent amount of time this season. When he has played, he's been good. But
Right.
first time in 21 years he hasn't been an All-Star game starter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If if they don't put him on the bench, the NBA is going to get ripped apart.
Yeah.
Don't I You got to keep like LeBron, Curry and KD in the All-Star game for the rest of their careers.
Yeah.
You've seen it happen before. They always kept Kobe, Duncan, and Dirk in it, even for their last couple of years where they weren't awesome.
Yeah, for sure. For
So,
sure. I mean, it's a fan thing.
mhm,
It's for the fans.
yeah,
Um, you know, yeah, it's and they're trying to do everything they can to make it exciting. You go back to the 80s though. Oh man, was that NBA All-Star weekend fun. And you had, Spud Webb from the Hawks, and then you had Dominique and Michael battling it out in the dunk contest. You had Bird coming out for the three-point contest in his jersey. And when they were sitting around in the locker room before going out for the three-point contest, and Bird sitting there in his awesome Celtics green warm-up jersey or warm-up top, saying to everyone, I'm just looking around wondering who's going to finish second. I mean, just awesome. I mean, it's just
yeah,
awesome. And then him, you know, being behind as he's coming around, to the last rack, and then it's down actually to the money ball.
hmm
Well, they call it the money ball then. Now it was it was just the red, white, and blue ball,
yeah,
last one on the rack for 2 points, and he shoots it and puts his finger up like that. I have that T-shirt, of him just
yes, you
like this.
do, yeah,
Uh, oh gosh, those were so awesome. And then the game was a battle. The
hmm
game was an actual battle, and now it's kind of gotten away to something different. But yeah,
Um, and then, oh, here's a interesting, you bringing up Larry Bird. So just talking about the two generations and how the game has changed. So Isaiah Joe, who is a backup guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder, good bench guy, but has never been more than that. The other day, he passed Larry Bird in all-time three-pointers.
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, just how much more shooting there is in today's game, where you
Yeah,
have like a backup point guard passing Larry Bird, who is known as an awesome shooter in career
yeah,
threes.
yeah.
And
Top 5 player ever.
this guy's only been in the league about 6 years too.
That is a great point. That's just crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
Um. Okay, so PGA this week. So I'm gonna let you cover this just because I'll be honest, I did not watch much of the Sony Open with how much football we had going on. But
I
what?
didn't watch much either, I'll be honest, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I mean, it's kind of the Sony Open is kind of tough in that they bomb it down there, and then it's just a wedge shot in. There's not a whole lot of creativity on that golf
Okay.
course. Goddard won. He won by 2 shots. Kind of interesting. He's won 3 times, once each year of the last, well, 3 years now, counting 26. So he
Yeah.
won in 24, 25, and 26. Um, and so, he's making a big push. He's moved up, the rankings, the golf rankings, big time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what's kind of interesting though is this was Sony's last year sponsoring the tournament,
Okay.
and as we talked a couple weeks ago, the opening tournament used to be the Century Tournament of Champions at Kapalua,
Yep.
and the Plantation Course, and that went away because of a big time water dispute that ended up actually killing the golf course. It's come back from natural water. It's the rainy, going through the rainy season, or however it works over there in Maui. It's actually turned green and is back open, but they were not able to host the tournament. And now that this was Sony's last year as the tournament sponsor, there's actually talk, and in the stuff that I read and listen to, there's more and more and more of a chance that the PGA Tour is not going to return to Hawaii as a whole at all. And
Really?
yeah, which is
Wow.
really too bad because, Hawaii is it's fun to go over there and play. The courses are so different than anything here. The views obviously are absolutely spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very expensive from the PGA Tour's point of view. It's very expensive to go over there from a
Sure.
production standpoint and play. And it's expensive for the players too. I mean, a lot of the players, well, the players have to pay their own way over.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of tough. It's too bad to see it potentially and most likely leave the state of Hawaii. Some other golf side notes. The TGL started again on ESPN, the Indoor Golf League. They play at this indoor facility in Orlando, hitting,
Yeah.
you're playing sim golf. The ratings are getting absolutely crushed compared to, this is year two, compared to the first 2 weeks, year one versus year two. Just listen to these ratings decline real quick. Let me
Yep.
pull it up for you. It's so week one last year there was approximately 919,000 viewers. This year, week one, 646, down 30%.
Oof.
Now, week two last year was the first time Tiger actually didn't play in week one. He did
Okay.
play in week two, and they had just over 1 million viewers then.
Yep.
This year, week two, down to 350,000.
Oh my
65% decrease. So it's going to be interesting if this thing is able to keep on. Now, Brooks, as we talked about last week, Brooks leaving Live and coming back to the PGA Tour. I would think and hope the TGL is doing everything they can to try to get Brooks in there just to inject something into that. So, that's kind of
It's too
it
bad.
for the golf
'Cause
world.
I'll be honest, I haven't sat down and watched a ton of TGL just because I'm more likely to turn on football if there's football or even basketball, being it's on every night. But when I'm on social media and it's clips from the TGL, I do like watching the clips. It's fun the way they mic the players up. You hear those conversations. It makes for some good stuff. It's just too bad. That's all I can say.
I'll be honest, Ben. I'm as big of a golf lover as there is, and it's tough to watch a whole broadcast.
Yeah.
And this is a guy too that loves sim golf. I mean, I love playing in the simulator as much as I love playing out live, and it's tough to sit through the whole thing. I can sit and do 10 minutes,
Yep.
and it's kind of fun to see the different holes that they've got now and things like that. But it just not the same, and I can't say one way or the other. I will say I think it would be actually really fun to be there in person, because they actually have two levels of stands. I'm sure it's fun to get some buddies and go, and you get a couple beers while you're there, and it's hooting and hollering. They have a lot of fun music playing in the background and everything
Yeah.
like that. I think it's a lot like Live, Ben. I would explain it a lot like that. I think it would be fun to. Am I a huge Live fan? No, I'm not. But, and I have when they first started a few years ago. I have sat and watched a full Live broadcast every now and again,
Yeah.
because I think the team aspect is really kind of fun. It was fun to watch the team championship a couple years ago, like when Smash Brooks's team got upset by the Ironheads. But which is so funny to say. It's like, what the heck are we talking about here? But anyway, but watching it with that, the music is playing, but it's kind of in the background, So on TV, you're really not. It just is kind of like this annoying noise in the background, and you hear the guys talk. I don't know. It just isn't. I'm used to the PGA Tour broadcast,
Yeah.
so that's it for golf.
Yeah. Last point here. This is MLB. An interesting stat I saw. So Kyle Tucker signs with the Dodgers. He was one of the biggest free agents this offseason. And classic Dodgers paying a ton of money, getting another superstar. I mean, their lineup right now is insane. So obviously there's no salary cap or salary floor in the MLB, but they do have luxury tax at a certain point. This year, the Dodgers luxury tax is higher than 12 entire teams' payrolls.
That's insane.
Mind blowing. I don't know. And you and I, we're about as casual baseball fans as it can get. I mean,
Love watching the playoffs. I
love
love
watching the playoffs. I pay attention to what's going on during the regular season, big storylines. who's doing good, who's doing bad, but I don't really sit there and watch regular season games on TV.
Right.
Just the fact that there is no salary cap or floor at this point blows my mind. But because you have the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees just buying every player. Mets, them and the Dodgers for the past couple of years have had the highest two payrolls in the MLB, and they also just went out and signed Bo Bichette from the Blue Jays. That's a massive move too, and they just keep adding to it.
Yeah.
It,
I think being a small market team, if I were commissioner of that, league, MLB, I think trying to figure out the economics of keeping all of your teams functioning would be it would be a fascinating case study.
yeah,
To try to do it live and for real would be brutal. How do you take the Twins, the Minnesota Twins, against the Dodgers? How does that even function?
yeah. No, yeah. Like I said, you and I, huge casuals. We can't even touch on it. But that was just one interesting stat I saw where I'm like, I got to bring that up on this week's episode.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have our last segment here, this or that. So, if you could play one sport professionally, what would it be?
You want me to start? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I've been thinking a lot about this,
Yep.
and I've always thought that it would be really fun if I were like a super big, tall guy to be able to go into the NBA and dominate. That would be fun. I think of like Shaq, watching Shaq play back in the day when he first came into the league back at Orlando, and then his first few years in LA. Oh my gosh, that had to be so fun because the game hadn't quite gotten outside the 3-point line like it has today.
Yeah.
The big man was still a huge, huge part of the offense, and he was so massively bigger than everybody else. To have been like that would have been really fun.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to play in the NFL. I'm not one that loves to get hit like that. I remember in 8th grade at Patrick Henry Jr. It was junior high at the time, not middle school, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I went out for 8th grade football. I was quarterback. Did all the practices leading up. Had the first game. Got blindsided, literally blindsided. Dropped back. Didn't know the guy was coming behind me, and just split in half. I got up. I said, That's it. I'm done. I don't need to play anymore. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful. I don't need that. So I'm going to go with golf. I think doing that would be fun. But I do admit that I think from a golf standpoint, I think the casual fan watching golf goes, what an awesome life. You get to play golf for a living. I think the amount that they play and the travel and all of that, I do think it really, really takes a toll on your personal life as well as physically. I mean, playing not only assuming you make the cut, 4
Yeah.
competitive days in a row, plus the pro-ams that you need to play going into each location each week, especially as a lower tier player where you're really to earn a living, you're trying to make cuts and you need to go week by week by week, versus guys like Scotty and Rory and
Yeah.
all these guys who can play a reduced schedule, can play the minimum required schedule to maintain your PGA Tour card, versus these guys that have to go out and grind every week. From a physical standpoint, I think it would probably be much harder than even I would think. But I'm going to go tour.
Nice. Okay. For me, it's like golf's a good one. I love playing. That's my favorite sport to play. It's also easy to say basketball because that's my favorite sport to watch. I'm gonna go a little more specific here and just give a fun answer though. I think being a long career backup quarterback in the NFL would be so much fun. Like
Okay.
like a Jameis Winston or a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
where you spend most of the time on the bench, good locker room guy. If you get in the game, great. You either light it up. If you play well, you light it up and set the world on fire, like that little stretch that Ryan Fitzpatrick had for the Buccaneers, where he's the
Yes.
talk of the world. Or if you lose, people just say, "Oh, we had our backup," and you get zero of the blame too.
Yeah.
So, and just being there in the locker room, I think that would be such a fun job. Yeah.
It would
So
be.
that's my answer. That's what I'm
I
going to go with.
Wow, I love it. I was not expecting that. I thought for sure basketball or golf would have been, if I had to put money on what you were going to choose, I was going to definitely guess basketball or golf for you. I love the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think that would be a blast. Um,
I do have to say, I
yeah,
think my number two, if I were the same size I am, obviously I said if I were much bigger
yeah,
and whatnot, basketball would be fun. But being the same size, I do think, just to kind of throw a little wrinkle in it that you're not expecting, I think being a place kicker in the NFL would be fun too. I would love that pressure of kick that, and obviously you miss some and you make some, and when you miss them, especially in big spots, everyone in the town that you're in wants to
yeah.
kill you. But I think that pressure would be really fun.
No, that would be. It's hard to even imagine, just because sports-wise, I've never even been into close of a position like that. So
Yeah.
it is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think you with the backup quarterback, I did not see that coming. Good for you.
yeah. Oh, awesome. All right, good episode this week. A lot more
Awesome.
NFL playoffs coming up. It's going to keep getting good.
Yep, we get championship week next week, which is always a fun day. That's
Yeah.
excuse me, that Sunday is really fun. And we're nearing the end, Ben. We'll have a dead week in there between the Super Bowl conference championships and the Super Bowl, and there won't be college football. Stay tuned. You get to see what Ben and I have to do, and we don't have the actual games to talk about without football. You haven't seen our show without football.
Yeah.
And then after the Super Bowl, we're heavy into the college basketball season as well as the NBA and NHL. So we won't be short on stuff, and we get the Winter Olympics that we've talked about. So
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. That's a great point. That'll
right,
be fun.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. See you, Patrick.
All right, bud. Love you. Thanks
Love you.
again.
Thank you guys for listening. Go subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, 2Gen1 Mike Pod. Thank you guys.